You're listening to Drummer Daily, the only daily podcast dedicated just to drummers, for a free video series explaining how you can become rock solid at playing drums with a click track in just 2 weeks in as little as 20 minutes per day. Visit boomclick.net. Well, hey there again. Welcome back to Drummer Daily again. I think I've said again a few times in this podcast already, but welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I thought I'd switch it up for myself a little bit. And so I am sitting behind the drum kit again, recording this. But instead of previously, I would come up here and I would record the podcast before I practice the drums. And so today I thought I'd do the reverse because I thought, man, I don't want to feel so antsy to get done recording the podcast so I can play drums. So also I thought maybe I'd sound a little more relaxed and happy and easygoing if I wasn't so antsy to get started playing the drums. So I thought I'd do it after I played the drums, and I did. So I've just had about an hour of practice playing the drums, and I had a good time. I did one of my favorite things that I haven't done in a while because excuse me, normally it's a little frustrating if I'm not up to speed, like we've talked about before, where I'm not I don't fully feel like I'm up to where the level where I'm comfortable playing, like I've played a few times in a row, been keeping up my practice. If I haven't done that, it can be a little frustrating, a little tough to do this. So I'll pick something easy. But today what I did is one of my favorite things. I got I have my whole library of all the music that I've had since I was a teenager, basically, all on my iPhone. And so I pulled up the songs on my iPhone. I just put them on shuffle. I shuffled all. And I've got probably 20 years worth of music, maybe a little less than that, on this phone, and shuffling it. And so, I played everything. Let's see, today I played everything from some Blink-182 and New Found Glory to Poison the Well and Zayo, which depending on how old you are or what kind of music you're into, you may not recognize any of these people, any of these bands, to let's see, Sixpence None the Richer. What else did I play with? There was some Switchfoot in there. There was a lot of Prince popped up. I think it's because my library is heavily weighted towards Prince. And what else did I play? Man, I just played a lot of stuff of all different genres, all different kinds of music. And it was a lot of fun to kind of see what popped up. And it was also kind of fun to, like, what I do sometimes is if an artist pops up that, I hadn't thought of in a while, wouldn't have thought to pick, I'll play one song of theirs and I'll be like, oh man, I'm really enjoying this. And I'll kind of go down a rabbit trail of playing more of their songs or whatever. So if you never do that, I would suggest doing that sometime. If you have a way of playing along with music with your drums, it's a lot of fun to just put your songs on shuffle and just see what pops up. And sometimes give myself the rule of no skipping, but I don't have a double kick pedal, so I had to skip some of the hardcore stuff. I wasn't much of in a metal mood today. As I lay dying wasn't really fitting what I was feeling today. And so I did skip a couple of songs today. But speaking of, I mentioned that I played a lot of Prince today. I just thought I'd mention one of my favorite little things that I learned by being a huge Prince fan as a drummer. And of course there are, obviously if you're into pop music or funk music or really just drumming with feel at all, I'm sure Prince has influenced you either directly or indirectly in some way. His music has. But I kind of got into Prince late, compared to when most people probably were into him. Because, I was a little kid when Prince was at his most popular. And at the time, Prince, his music wasn't very appropriate for a little kid, and I definitely wasn't listening to it. But as I got older, I just first, I don't know if you know this, but Prince kind of changed the subject matter of his songs. I think in the 90s, somewhere late in the 90s maybe. But anyway, I happened to stumble onto a DVD of his that my buddy Nathan I don't know how he discovered it. You know what it was, I think, actually, and this is I'm sorry I'm going down this trail, this story, but I used to love to go to like Best Buy, and they actually had music DVDs, like where you could like just browse like all these music related DVDs. They have, you know, a lot of live performance ones and other things. And that was like my favorite thing to do. If I had a little spare money, you know, as a teenager, as a young 20 something, I'd just go to Best Buy and I just browse to see what there was. And something catch my attention, I'd buy it. And I think my friend Nathan found this one and bought it. And then I bought it as well, but it was called Prince. I think it was called One Night Alone, live from the Aladdin Theater. It was filmed in Las Vegas. It was actually the video quality is pretty darn bad. This was, I think, when Prince was independent, didn't have a label or anything maybe, and so he kind of did this all himself. Anyway, John Blackwell Jr. was the drummer for Prince, and he was for many years, and he went on to play for Justin Timberlake for a while and a bunch of other people. Anyway, John Blackwell, amazing drummer. He actually right now, I don't know if you know this or not, but he's going through a bunch of health issues right now. So you should Google that. I think he has a GoFundMe set up or something like that where you can support him. But he is going through some serious medical issues where I know that he's not able to even play the drums right now. I don't know how much motor function he has right now, but it's pretty tough for him. So we're definitely thinking about him, praying for him. But check that out if you're interested at all in supporting him. But anyway, John came out with a really cool DVD, but watching him play on this Prince DVD was like magical for me. And this was right when Prince was kind of in his era of really laying on like the James Brown style live show where he would, you know, call out to the band to do this or do that right in the middle of the song or on the one, and like they'd all drop it down real low and kind of groove. It was like Prince was a conductor and he was conducting his whole band live, and they were all so in tune and locked in, and it felt great, and all the players were great, but no one was going too crazy showing off or derailing things. Anyway, I think it hit me at the right time, right age, and it inspired me so much. But one thing that I love that John Blackwell will do with Prince, and then also I ended up getting some DVDs of John Blackwell's that he put out, some drum DVDs and stuff. And one of the things he talked about was he learned this. I think he mentioned he learned this from like listening to like bands like Cameo and stuff like that when he was growing up. But he would do a thing that I love, and it doesn't really work in all styles of music, all genres of music, but it definitely works anything kind of funky, kind of R&B, kind of with a little more pep to it in some ways. But what he would do is he would do this thing where he would kind of right in the middle of a groove kind of interrupt it with a big hard hit on the one with the kick, the hi-hat, and the snare, like a big just pop. So like he'd be playing a groove like doom da doom doo doom da doom da doom doo doom da, like that. He kind of keep grooving, you know, da doom, and then he'd go doom doom da da doom 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 da doom da doom doom da, like that. And something about that little like hiccup in the beat. A lot of times he'd do it like going into, I think you know, you play a verse, then you play a chorus, and then you might go into verse 2, and it would be at the beginning of verse 2 to like drop it down, or like you might be playing the same groove as you were before, and you wouldn't have a big crash or anything. Instead, you would put a little hiccup in the beat for a second. And that stuck with me because it was a cool way of adding a dynamic without playing more drums, getting more flashy, or doing the same old thing, just hitting a crash cymbal or whatever. It was something new to kind of bring in. And I actually do this in a different way a lot of times. I have my own little signature things that I do. And one of those is a lot of times, like I'm trying to think, like if I'm playing like a little more straight ahead kind of rock, kind of open, you know, flowy kind of song, a lot of times towards the end of the song, you'll double a chorus. You know, you'll play 2 choruses in a row. And one thing that I'll do is like you might build out of the first chorus, and you're going into the second chorus of the 2 in a row. And I will I'll do something like I'll be riding on the ride cymbal or washing out the crash or whatever, already big and open. And I'm like, all right, well, I have nowhere else to go. So I want to add a little hiccup, a little something into it that really gives impact to that second chorus. But I can't make it any bigger. I'm already there. I'm already blasting. I'm already firing on all cylinders. So what do? I'll do something like where I'll kind of build into it with some 18th notes. That'd be interesting. Some 8th or some 16th notes going dun, 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 dun. And then right on the downbeat, instead of just hitting the crash, I'll go dun 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 dun. So like something like kind of like the same kind of idea, like do a drum fill that actually starts on beat 1 but doesn't go through the whole measure. It just is like a 2-beat drum fill, but it really catches your attention without being distracting if you do it right or you pick the right time to do it, and can really kind of add some interest without taking away anything. Because that's the big thing, is like, sure, if you're firing on all cylinders dynamically, you're really loud and you're rocking it, you want there to be impact, but you can't get any louder, either because you're already as loud as you can get, or like I mentioned with the John Blackwell thing, kind of going between verses, you might be kind of rocking on the closed hi-hat, playing a tight groove, and the song does not call for you to dynamically change anything, but you need there to be a breath in the beat or a break in the beat, to change it up and do something different. So this would be a situation where you might use something like this. So anyway, that's all I got for you today, but I do want to ask you a favor. I am not out of ideas for this podcast for subject matter, but I haven't heard from many of you in a long time. And so if there is something you'd love for me to talk about on this podcast, I would love to do that for you. So just send me an email at daniel@danielhadaway.com. And just to say, hey, I'd love it if on the podcast you talk about this or that, or what do you think about this, or how do I do this, or whatever it is. I would love to talk about what you want to hear about. So don't be shy. Send me an email, daniel@danielhadaway.com, and just let me know what you'd like for me to cover on the podcast, and I will do my best to work it in. But I'm excited for another week of podcasts. I think tomorrow on the podcast, I'm going to announce something that I'm going to start doing really regularly that I think will be kind of a fun way for us to interact even more and connect even more one-on-one. I'll get to know you a little better because I know that you're there and I know you're listening, but I don't get a chance to talk with you much, and I'd love to do that because we're all this big community. And it's funny because I'm aware of the community because I have the Facebook page and I see everyone, and I have the podcast and I see people are downloading it, and I get some emails from you, but you don't know if there's anyone else out there. And so I'm going to start doing something that I think that's going to be kind of cool for all of us to get involved in. And so I'm thinking most likely tomorrow I'm going to announce that on the podcast. So if you're hearing this way late, just jump to the next podcast I did after this one and find out what it is. But if you're listening to this live, just wait one day and I'll announce it to you. All right. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.